Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to another edition of the Opposition Preview. As always, guys, make sure you smash the like, subscribe if you're new around here, and as always, leave your thoughts in the comments below. And Monday night, Chelsea head to Crystal Palace for a mid-table clash, 11th versus 14th. Both managers under pressure. Palace fans turning on Roy Hodgson. It's pretty toxic. Pochettino getting a reprieve in midweek with a big win against Aston Villa in the FA Cup, but we're certainly not out of the woods today. Still got to do a lot more to try and win the fans over. Chelsea's task certainly made slightly easier with Michael Olise and Eberiche Eze both missing for Crystal Palace. But as always, you don't know what team's going to turn up with Chelsea. Could be good, could be awful. And with Palace, I mean, as with how this season's gone, it's tended to be the latter. But I'm delighted to be joined by D from Back of the Nest. Mate, thanks for joining me. Pleasure to have you on. It's fair to say that this one's maybe not an El Sacico as such, but it's certainly heading that way. A defeat for either side probably pushes either manager closer to the exit door. But you were saying to me before we started recording that, you know, this is the most toxic you can sort of remember it at Palace right now. I mean, why has it got so bad? I know the results are poor on that, but how come you think it's just got to this level?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for having me on, by the way. But there's so many things. It's just not the manager alone. There's the ownership group. We have 3 owners at the football club. 2 of them, based on reports, they don't really get along. They have different visions for the football club, so it starts there. Hiring Roy Hodgson for a year showed a lack of ambition. There's been times where the fans wanted a bit more in the transfer market. In this one, in January, we did manage to sign a Wan-Bissaka replacement after 4 or 5 years, which pretty much sums up why we were annoyed, because it's taken us 4 or 5 years to replace a player that we've desperately needed to replace because we had in the final plan and Joel Ward there. You've had now on the manager, the results ain't good enough, the performance are not good enough. The manager's getting onto the fans saying that we're spoiled, even though at the time he said it, we won like 1 or 2 games at home all season. He's getting onto the younger players. The players seem like they've had enough. It is as toxic as it can be at Crystal Palace right now, and I've never seen it like this. But it is also warranted. I don't think anyone will really understand apart from Palace fans. And I guess we do the same things when we talk about, other football clubs, and we're like, oh, why are you complaining? You're still 14th, or you're still 15th or 8th or 7th, depending on the club. You're doing well. You're just having a rough patch. But with Palace, it is way bigger than just the results and the manager. The manager, of course, plays a massive part right now, but it's the ownership. That's where the problem lies. I mean, we're finishing the top 10 only once. We sacked Patrick Vieira, which at the time you can say was the right thing to do. But the problem is bringing back Roy and keeping him for another year. It just shows a lack of ambition. And we just don't want, without sounding spoiled, we just don't want to every single season focus on staying up. If we're saying Michael Olise is worth around 60, 70 million pounds, and Eze is this quality player, Guehi, Anderson, Decore, and all these other great players that we have at this football club, France will be signed for 20 million pounds, which we haven't seen, then just staying up isn't just good enough. We want to see the club trying to win games. And right now, we're not doing that. I mean, even in the FA Cup tie against Everton, he set the team up for a draw. And then cup tie, we're not going to get a point. And that's where it pretty much goes towards, Roy and how negative he is as a manager and how he shouldn't even be here in the first place. I mean, who gets a manager on a 1-year deal? It's been annoying this season. You did say El Sacico, but I feel like Roy is already technically sacked based on the reports. Like, he is gone. It's about finding a replacement. But as it stands right now, if he's going to walk the team out on Monday night, I'm genuinely scared and also curious to see how bad it's going to be, or if the fans are not going to react, because based on everything that's been going on, based on the Brighton result, the Arsenal result, the owners, there's even banners at games. The Monday night could be the worst we've seen so far, because the fact that Roy still had the job after losing 4-1 against Brighton. And on top of that, I did also miss, partly to blame, and I think, I don't know even partly, for me, I think he has a big blame in Michael Olise getting injured constantly. And many people now think, oh, Olise is injury prone. No, he's been mismanaged by the manager, and that's why we're in a similar situation, and that's why he's got a long-term injury. So, bunch of things. I mean, we're losing our assets to injuries due to the managers not being able to rotate the squad and not listening to the medical staff. And there's leaks about the medical staff complaining about Roy. It's a shambles. I mean, there isn't one good thing about Palace right now. Defensively, midfield, attack, injuries, ownership. There isn't one good thing. It is literally a place that is burning, and you have to get out of it ASAP.
It makes you feel slightly better about the Chelsea situation here and all that. I mean, it's always a risk you take, isn't it? Like, that's why I'm never that much of a fan of like the interim route. I know sometimes you have to go down it, but if they do well, then there's this pressure to then appoint them permanently when actually they're not good enough permanently for it. I know it's a little bit different. Like when we had Di Matteo back in the day, like he come in and we somehow won the FA Cup and the Champions League. I think that was more down to the players than actually him as a manager. But then the plan wasn't to give him the job. But then when that happens, you can't not give it to him. And then like 5-6 months later, he was gone. I think you're spot on when you say with Roy, like he come and he done a job, he kept you up, fair enough. But that should have been it. Like I completely get your point about lack of ambition. You know, that is the least ambitious thing Palace could have done was to appoint Roy. It's kind of boring. It's safe football. It was just a safe choice, basically. Probably don't cost a lot of money either. Roy, he's just happy to be there. And now you're paying the price for it. Who realistically, someone's football that is outdated, tactically poor, refuses to switch things up and that. But it's interesting. Obviously, Elise and Eze both missing. I mean, Elise could have been. I mean, I don't know what exactly happened in terms of how his move to us broke down in the summer, because that was kind of all agreed. And then the next thing, you know, he signed a new contract, and obviously that release clause is bigger. But ultimately, you know, that falling through meant we signed Cole Palmer. Because I think if we get Eze, we wouldn't have signed Palmer. But what do you think is going on with Elise? I think the guy is an unbelievably talented footballer. He's certainly going to go to a bigger team in the summer, you would imagine. You'll get a bit more money for him than a 35 mil. What's going on with him? Because I see things coming out saying that, you know, the medical staff, didn't want him to play or advised that he shouldn't play. But then if he shouldn't play, he shouldn't be on the bench. And then what's the point in risking him when you're 3-0 down and you're not going to win that game? It's all a mess. I mean, how do Palace fans feel about Elise and the situation? Because the kid's so talented, but it just seems like a chronic mismanagement.
Unbelievable talent. Unbelievable. Like, I think the reason why Elise
is he better than Zaha for you in terms of talent? Do you think he could be the most talented player you've had at Palace?
Seen is much higher than Zaha's. Much higher than Zaha's. I mean, considering his age, considering, you know, the team he plays for, the manager that he plays for. By the way, he creates everything himself. Do you get it? It's not like tactically we put Elise in certain situations. No, it's just Elise. That's what it is. There's no tactics at Crystal Palace right now. It's free for all. And when Elise and Eze don't play, then we get exposed. Of course, there's going to be a drop off when you don't play Eze, Elise, and some of these other players, because, you know, the replacement is never going to be on par with the players that we have. But then you expect your tactics to show. Then you kind of see what are we trying to do, and we're not basically doing anything. With Elise, he will leave Palace this summer. I'll be shocked if he doesn't. I think the reason why he turned down Chelsea, I know a lot of Chelsea fans were saying, "Oh, Palace were going to complain. That's why he didn't go there." I don't think that's the case. I just feel like even when he did sign a new contract, the rumors and the talk was that he has a good relationship with the club. He feels like development was going in the right path. And that's why he wanted to stay at Palace for another season, because he knows that he's worth more than the £35 million that was in the release clause, and he will get that move eventually. And he got an improved offer at Palace as well. So it's a win-win situation. Another year in the Premier League for him. Well, in theory, it should have been like that. But this season, in a way, I feel so bad for him. He's been mismanaged. It's simple as that. He has been mismanaged, and that's why he's picked up another hamstring injury. That's why he's going to be out for another 2 months. It's not even just Elise. We've got players from the youth level to the first team. It is so common. Hamstring. Roy Hodgson says it's luck. It's not luck. I'm not buying into it's luck.
Nah, not when it happens. Not when it happens that often.
Not when that many players. Yeah. Even today for the under 18s, Zach Marsh, I'm pretty sure he trains with the first team often. Hamstring, he's off. Like it's unbelievable. You can't make it up. But the manager thinks it's down to luck. And with Elise, I wonder how teams will react, because the general feeling that I'm getting right now is let's be cautious with Elise, because he's picking up a lot of injuries. And that could be his kind of downfall this summer, potentially, depending on how teams view on the situation. I don't think he's injury prone. I just think he's massively mismanaged. Same with Eze as well. Gahey, that's a new injury. But yeah, I think he's mismanaged, and the mismanagement is just catching up to him. But I mean, when he came back from his injury, I think early December, he's been every single game that he's played, he's been brilliant, either scoring goals, getting assists, and he's been doing it himself. Him and Eze have a great connection, but even if Eze is not on the pitch, it'll be just Elise. We have faith in Elise. Elise has turned into the new Zaha, and this is what kind of exposes Crystal Palace Football Club and those who run the football club, is that we used to be Zaha FC. Zaha used to keep us up every single season, and right now you can see it by the manager and Elise being out. it's going to be elite AFC, and it's not good enough. You got other talents there. If you have a manager that is tactically up to date, who has a bit patterns of play, for example, the basic phases of football, just the simple stuff that you see in the modern day, which we don't have under Roy Hodgson because he's not a modern day manager. And we're not seeing the best out of these players, but individually they've been carrying us. That's what it is. Individually, at least he's been fantastic. And I just think under a different manager, with better players, he's only going to go get better. I think his ceiling is very scary. Like, he can go to the top.
No, absolutely. It's going to be fascinating to see where he goes. I mean, apparently we still have some interest in him, but again, I don't know where he fits in at Chelsea of all the wide players we've got. Unless someone leaves, then I can't really see there's space for him. Obviously, his brother's at the academy. He used to be at Cobham as well as a young kid. So there's a little connection there. But yeah, I'd be surprised if he did end up coming to us. But let's wait and see what happens. Obviously, mate, we touched on you're without some key players on Monday night. How do you expect Palace to approach this game? Obviously, it's going to be a very different side. Your main threats are going to be missing. How do you expect Crystal Palace to turn up? What should Chelsea be expecting?
Sunday League side? I don't even know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe it. How will Crystal Palace turn up? I think what he has to do, and he knows it now, he's massively under pressure, is try to take the game to Chelsea. But the problem is, look, you lot haven't been great in form. And when teams have brought the game to you, they've picked up results, and you have been struggling this season. But the problem with the manager that we've got is he sees every team out there as like a big team. So I think we'll give you the respect. Hopefully we don't, but I suspect that we'll give you the respect. We'll try and sit back, but it's not going to work because defensively we've been leaking goals, and try and hit you on the counter. But I don't know how we're going to hit you on the counter if he's not going to play the likes of France or Hamada or some of these other youngsters. If it's going to be Jeffrey Schlupp and Jordan Ayew with Mateta up front, because you're not hitting anyone. No one's scared of that front three. I'm not scared as a Palace fan. I'm not saying it's going to cause any damage. So I just don't. I'll be honest. I just don't know what type of Palace side to expect. Majority of the time, 99% of the time, it's been absolutely dreadful. Even in the wins. I mean, the Sheffield United win, I left the ground saying, yes, we beat Sheffield United, but damn, that was terrible. Yeah. And what happened the following game? 3-0 down against Brighton at half time. The performances have not been there, and nothing has changed about it. So for me, I think Chelsea, you lot should beat us. And I think you will beat us. But I think that will be down to us giving you the respect that, I don't know, in your last game, you was very good against Villa. Yeah. I think that's the best I've seen from Chelsea so far this season. Maybe
definitely, yeah. That's best performance of the season.
Yeah, I think tactically, everyone working together, it was great. It was great to watch. So I think you'll be up for this game. But overall, when you look at this season, you have been struggling. It has been toxic. You even mentioned maybe Pochettino, could he get sacked or not? I don't think he'll get sacked after this game, regardless, because I just don't see us getting anything out of the game. But there has been that pressure. But the thing is, with our manager that we've got, he looks at every game as just namesake. Oh, we're facing Chelsea. Yes, you're facing Chelsea, but you're facing a Chelsea side that is, even after the Villa game, you'll be high on confidence, but it's not like you've won 5 or 6 games in a row.
No.
That you have, over the last, 5 games or so, it's not like Chelsea have been absolutely brilliant. I know you're going into this game with a massive and great win. I as a neutral watching it, I was like, wow, like Chelsea are up for it. They're finally showing, I know it's only 1 game, but they're finally showing what they could do, maybe under Poch. So yeah, I think we'll just try to sit back and let you have the ball. I don't know if that's going to help you lot. I don't know how you are in possession in comparison to our possession, because I know a few times you have struggled against low block, but the problem is the low block is there for low block's sake, but defensively we haven't been at the levels we should be, so we still concede goals, so it's pointless.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think if you're going to sit back, low block, try and hit us on the counter, that's the sort of football we struggle against. Like we are scoring goals, but we're also letting a lot in at the moment, particularly from set pieces and balls into the box. So maybe that's something that Palace can potentially look to exploit. But yeah, look, sitting deep and letting us have the ball and putting the impetus on us to break teams down, that's generally where we tend to struggle. And it's why we've done better against the better sides this season. Obviously, Liverpool aside, where teams come out and play football, that suits us a bit better rather than all the onus being on us to try and break teams down. So look, I'm not expecting an easy game. There's no easy games in the Premier League. Away games are tough. We've lost more games than we've won in the league this season. That's the reality. And yeah, without Elise, Eze, Mark Guehi at the back, like that definitely makes it easier. But we shouldn't turn up thinking it's a given. Like the attitude's got to be the attitude's got to be right. The application's got to be there. The mentality's got to be there. And the manager's got to stick with a team that beat Villa. I don't want to see Raheem Sterling coming back in. I don't want to see, just reverting back to type. We pulled that result out against Villa like from nowhere, really, like when we needed it the most. Like that, we were like one game from things being really, really bad. So like we're not out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination, but if Poch can stick to his guns and do that and keep getting a similar level of performance and going on a bit of a run, then that's going to be the key. Because so many times we put in a good performance, won a game, and you think, oh, maybe we've turned the corner, and then the next game we turn up and we just go back again. So it is going to be tricky. Mate, what players from a Chelsea perspective like worry you a little bit? I know we've not been in the best of form, but there is quality there. Who worries you from a Palace perspective?
I think Cole Palmer. I think that's the obvious one. I think he's been fantastic for you lot. Even when you haven't been playing great, I think Cole Palmer's pulled you out of the mud a few times, and it's about trying to stop him. And I don't know who's going to be playing in defence ahead of Mark Guehi. That's the thing. I mean, Chris Richards could potentially play there, but even Joachim Anderson, who's been playing alongside Mark Guehi, he seems locked out. Like he just seems like he's done with Palace. Like you could just see it from his body language.
He's a good player as well.
Yeah, well, he used to be. He used to be until you bring in Roy and he destroys every confidence that he's got. He's been having problems with the fans. I think it's 2 times now he's gone to the fans, and he's. I think after the Brighton game he was there as well. He had an argument with a fan after the game, and he's just seemed like he doesn't want anything to do with Palace, and I don't blame him because I don't as a fan. So imagine playing under that. I think trying to stop Palmer is going to be a struggle, even as like our holding midfielder. We signed Adam Wharton, who's actually exciting. I wonder if he starts against Chelsea because we've got a few injuries. I don't know how he's going to change the midfield. I don't know who's going to put there, but he's an exciting prospect. And I think you lot actually saw him play. Yeah, we had Blackburn in the cup. There was a couple of reports linking us with a potential move for him, but I don't know how serious they were. But he looks a good player. Yeah, he does. It was a great bit of business in the January transfer window. To be fair, a bit of credit to the board. It wasn't that bad. We finally signed a right back, but it's just a case of we waited about 4 to 5 years to sign a right back. Do you get it? So it was a bit frustrating that we took that long. And we did sign Wharton as well, who's an exciting prospect. But the problem is, we could sign these players, but I don't even know if this manager is going to play them. The right back, yes, because he's 27 years old, but it just seems like with the younger players, he's just scared to play it. I don't know why he's scared. I just don't understand it. But that's been the case so far this season. Some of the younger players he hasn't decided to play them. He's been playing players out of form. Adam Wharton, I think he's going to be under pressure to play him because it's been absolutely dreadful, the football, and he needs to try something different. Maybe Wharton could be up against Cole Palmer or Lerma and try to stop him. But you've got Gusto at right back. He causes us problems even in the reverse picture. I think he's been fantastic for you lot. When Reece James has been out, he's been one of those players that's stepped up and he's growing and growing by the game. He's been exciting as well. So I think you've got talent. Chelsea's of course, you've got talent. It's just been, I don't know if you could say mismanaged, maybe. Maybe Poch hasn't been able to get the right combination on the pitch. Maybe, Sterling playing so much when he shouldn't be playing. So there's been problems at Chelsea, of course, but you've got the talent. You've got the talent to hurt us. And after the Villa game, of course, the most logical thing would be Poch doesn't change it. He goes with the same lineup. You go again and you try to get a result, but you never know. You never know if he overthinks it. If he changes up, that could mess up the rhythm. But if he goes with the same team that you done against Villa, I think you lot will hurt us massively because you lot play some great football against the top side, by the way, against Villa. I know they rotated the squad, or that's what some people were saying.
It was a pretty strong team. It was a pretty strong team. Like it was unexpected, and yeah, they weren't great, but we made them also not look that good. Mate, just last thing before we round out. What do Crystal Palace fans think of Conor Gallagher? Obviously on loan a couple seasons back, had a very, very good spell for you. I know football's a little bit funny like that, but I think there are a few boos for him. I don't know if it was the game at the Bridge just after Christmas, or it might have been one last season or whatever. What do Palace fans actually think of Conor?
As a player, I think he was fantastic for us, and he's one of the reasons why I think Vieira's downfall started as well. We didn't replace Gallagher, and in his first season, I just think he was up and down the pitch. But I always thought about him being a system player. I don't think he's bad technically. I think he's got technical ability, but I've always thought about whatever he can do at the top club with the requirements that they need. I think he fitted into Vieira's system perfectly. Let's not forget that Gallagher was at West Brom before Palace.
Yeah.
I mean, he had that experience, but no one really gave him the hype. I think what happened is he joined Vieira's system and, progressive football allowed him to get in the box a bit more, up and down the pitch. And that's where he flourished. And I think that's why I did think that he was a system player. But the few boos, I think the reason why that was is because, what was it? I think it was one of the games at Stamford Bridge where he was time wasting or something like that. But I don't think anyone really, has any hate towards Gallagher. I think he's an exciting player. I don't know if he'll be. It's weird because at Chelsea, the reports were suggesting that you lot might be open to selling him.
He's only got a year left. He's got a year left on his contract in the summer. Like the club want to sell him because he's from the academy. It's like pure profit or whatever.
Yeah.
And we need to raise money to comply with profit and sustainability rules. So like Gallagher should be offered a new contract for me. But at this point in time, he's got come the summer 1 year left, and there's not really been any talks at all.
Yeah, and it makes sense to be fair to sell him because I think there will be buyers after him, and not Palace. I think we're done with that after we sign Adam Wharton as well. Unless one of the Decore's or Eze's or one of these players leave.
You'd have him back if he wanted to come back. You take him, yeah.
I think we would. If there are changes, because right now the midfield with Wharton coming in, and when we have a fully fit midfield, I think we're kind of set. I don't know where Gallagher really fits in because we spent about good money on Wharton and we have high hopes for him. And then, of course, if we have Eze still there as well, we'll be playing Eze and then we'll have Decore. So I don't know where Gallagher would really fit into that midfield three when everyone is fit. Of course, everyone's not fit right now. But yeah, I think the price tag that Chelsea asked for Palace I don't think we'll ever pay around that region. I think he's a great player, but me personally, if you put him in a wrong system, he can also get found out as well. I don't think he's on the same level as like the Eze's or the Elise's, where they will be able to perform regardless of the manager. And we can see it under Roy, they're still performing. With Gallagher, I think the right managers needed to get the best out of him.
Yeah, no, I pretty much think that's spot on. He's done well for us this season, but again, only's got his first goal of the season against Villa the other night. So he as well as he has dropped off a little bit the last few weeks. He was exceptional in that Villa game. So yeah, he just needs to deploy him further forward and get Enzo closer to Caicedo, and that seems to give us a better balance. But mate, last thing to round out, score prediction. What are you thinking Monday night?
Score prediction. I'm thinking 3-0 Chelsea. I think, look, we've been leaking goals. I suspect that's still going to continue. 5 against Arsenal, 4 against Brighton. Maybe this time it will be 3 against Chelsea. But without Eze, Elise on the pitch, I just don't know how we're going to score. To be fair, we scored against Brighton, but then again, Brighton have been, another side that's been struggling before they faced us as well. They haven't been, kicking it on in the league, even though they have, other European competitions that they're doing well. So we scored against them, but I think it's going to be a struggle. I just think it's going to be a struggle. And for us, I think the key thing to look at is we conceded early goals. We conceded, after 3 minutes against Brighton, after a minute or 30 seconds against Sheffield United. We conceded early against Arsenal. So if Chelsea attack us from the first minute, get an early goal, Selhurst Park, I think, will explode, literally. And I'm not looking forward to it as well. So yeah, I think it's going to be a long evening for us. So I'm going to go 3-0 Chelsea.
I think you might get 1 just because we're not really keeping that many clean sheets at the moment. So I think we can score a few. I'll probably go 3-1 win. But again, that's only based really on the fact that Palace aren't doing that well and providing we turn up. So there's still quite a lot of ifs there, but we'll see what happens. Mate, thanks so much for your time. Greatly appreciate it. The people want to check out more of what you guys do. Where should they go?
Yeah, thank you for having me on. Back of the Nest on YouTube and all the other social media platforms. We do reactions, opposition preview as well, where we're going to have Charlie on our channel as well. So that should be good to get your perspective on Chelsea side of things. But yeah, check out Back of the Nest. But thank you for having me on.
No, pleasure, mate. Guys, make sure you check that out. Head over there, show the guys some love, subscribe. It'll be tagged in the title, guys. So make sure you do that. I'll catch you guys in another one soon. Up the Chelsea.